Oh, gnarly, dude. Looks like you just went overboard.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Overboard. On today's episode, we have special guest Lindsey Gins joining us. Lindsey is a neuroscience major starting graduate school in the fall, but I was introduced to Lindsey through another passion of hers, modeling.
Over the past few years, Lindsey has become a well-known freelance model across Michigan. She's been featured in publications like Something Different magazine and modeling for companies like Electric Family, Fluke the Label, and Bird and Bee Clothing. Today, we get a chance to talk to Lindsey and get to know a little bit more about her. So everyone, welcome Lindsey to the podcast.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here.
So, Lindsey, tell us, when did your modeling journey begin?
I would say a few years ago, I want to say either 2016 or 2017, a friend of mine actually reached out to me over Instagram, go figure. And he just kind of asked me if I'd ever modeled before, if I was interested in it. And at that point, I had actually gotten a few similar messages like that. And I never really pursued it because I was just super nervous to actually start something like that. And so we talked more and actually set up a shoot, and I got to co-design it, which was super fun for my first time ever modeling or being in that scene at all. And yeah, I just fell in love with the whole creative and artistic side of it, because a lot of people don't see what really goes into it other than the finished product and the surface level of it.
Right. Like for me, who knows nothing about modeling really, I would just think you just go and stand in front of a camera
Right.
and do a cool pose, right? But I know it's a lot deeper than that, especially from some of the shoots Jenni's done and helped and designed.
Definitely.
And you're very hands-on with most of the shoots. I feel like you add your opinion into the creative design and everything of it.
Yeah, totally.
So, which is really cool, because not a lot of models, they just go and they expect you to be the photographer or whoever is there to guide them to do everything. But you're very interactive with everybody there.
Yeah, I definitely love putting in, 100%. And if it's a collaboration or something else, I definitely, I enjoy, contributing to that in whatever way I can, whether it's hair and makeup, wardrobe, concept ideas, or any other thing that I can do to help that.
Do you find it hard to find other people to collab with, or do you normally have a lot of people photographers and stuff coming to you, or businesses coming to you asking for you to, help with modeling?
Yeah, so when I first started, I definitely tried to network more. I guess I would say, where I was reaching out to more people, just because I didn't really have a presence in the industry at all. I was just kind of intrigued by it, wanted to see where it would go and take me. So yeah, I started out reaching out to a lot of local photographers and some brands and stuff like that. And after a while, it just kind of got to a point where I was getting recognized. I was doing a lot of work, and a lot of it wasn't super fulfilling for me. It was just kind of as you said before, just kind of going and showing up, and it was,
Right.
It was a great experience. But now I'm kind of at a point where I do have people that reach out to me, and I've gotten super selective with who I do collaborate with, because I am trying to make this more of a career. And so, yeah, I definitely focus more on brand shoots and just stuff like that. But I do have a passion for creative modeling as well, so that's where a lot of collaborations are good, and that's why I do like to have those people that I can hit up if I have an idea, or if they have an idea and we just want to execute a super dope creative shoot. So yeah.
Because you are a petite model, have you ever run into any problems when in a shoot or trying to book a job with your height or anything like that?
Yeah, so I actually am a solid 5'8", which is pretty average that's definitely on the lower scale for fashion and editorial modeling, but that's kind of that point where they do cut it off. If I were to go to castings, which is something I am definitely interested in, I would be a lot more worried about my height, just because they have a much, they're more intense about are you above 5'8", basically. So I'm right at that point. But I've never had any issues with brands or anything. I think that with the whole wave that we're seeing with this Instagram model platform that people are using, which is a great thing. It's allowing more body types to be recognized and appreciated because it just allows more people to be noticed. And like, you know, if you have the talent, you have it regardless of your height or your body type. It's like it's giving more people an opportunity, which is great.
Yeah, I agree with that. You see a lot more people who might have never gotten to modeling coming out of the woodworks and feeling good about their bodies, all different types of bodies. It's not just the same extremely skinny, tall girl model anymore. You have people are just loving their bodies, looking a lot healthier.
Yeah, I definitely do love seeing like the more normal and healthy looking body types that we're seeing, especially. And I think Instagram does have a lot to do with that because anyone can do it, you know, and they're just kind of like making that known where like I think it's like people do want to see people that look like them and people that are fit and healthy looking. And there's nothing wrong with being super skinny, you know, like I myself have always been kind of taller and skinnier, so I'm not hating on any body type whatsoever, but it is nice seeing more variety for sure.
Yeah. So when you first started, was there anything that like you're self-conscious about maybe? Because getting in front of a camera is hard, to be honest, in my opinion. I've worked on like film sets and stuff, and there's definitely a kind of disconnect and a barrier, I feel like, a wall you have to get over per se.
Definitely. Yeah, I actually love that question because when I did first start, I was basically, it was my first time being in front of a camera like that. It got to a point where I was basically consumed by every little thing that I could point out when I would get photos back, or even when I would just look at pictures of other models and other, you know, girls on the internet and then refer back to myself like, okay, that's what I need to work on. This is what I need to have or whatever. And I think that it's okay I would basically just kind of like nitpick every little thing. And then, you know, it got to a point where I'm so happy with how I look at myself now because I feel so much more comfortable just with who I am. And it's almost like you have to go kind of deeper than your surface level. It's not, you know, everyone has their individualities and their own things that make them unique. And then when you're in front of a camera, it's hard to really see yourself and be like, oh, I love this. I love how I look, because that's just not, you know, that everyone gets insecure. But yeah, I'm definitely a lot more comfortable now. And I think that like the best thing for me to get over all of that was like, just like when I finally let go of all these insecurities and felt more comfortable, like being in front of a camera, it shows in your photos. Because when I would get photos back before, I would look at them and be like, oh, I look so uncomfortable because I was trying so hard to cover every little thing that I didn't like about myself. And now that I've just accepted myself for who I am, I notice like I get photos back and I just like can see like just a more genuine approach, a more genuine feel to every photo that I get back because I'm just comfortable, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that modeling helped you get to that point where you were happy with your body?
Yeah.
Or you were just like on that journey?
No, I totally think that it's definitely something where I can't give advice to anyone and say, this is how you can be more confident, you know, because it's a solo journey, basically. Like you have to, it's like a battle with your own mind and just
kind of got to get over it after a certain point, maybe.
Right. It's just coming to accept yourself for everything about you internally, externally. And once you accept yourself internally, it like shows on the outside, on the surface level. But yeah, modeling definitely helped me a lot. Just being like, you know what? Like, I don't need to cover these things. Like, this is what makes me unique. I don't need to look at what someone else looks like and be like, oh, I need to look like that. Like, what makes you unique is all the, all these differences that you have from other people. So yeah, I think it helped.
Absolutely, yeah.
No, I agree with that 100%. Like when I was in high school, I feel like I was so critical of everything about myself, but it wasn't until like I graduated and kind of got away from like, the high school drama and all of that, where I feel like I became more confident in not only like my body, but just like being myself.
Totally. Yeah, I agree with that.
So a lot of models have at least one bad experience with a photographer. Have you run into any problems with photographers you've shot with that you're willing to share?
I actually have been super blessed and lucky to not have those experiences, but I do think that this is an important question to ask and an important thing to talk about, because for a lot of newer and younger models, and even people that have been in the industry for a really long time, it is, there are those occurrences where a photographer almost manipulates, you into doing something that you're not comfortable with, or convinces you to do something you're not comfortable with. And for, like I said, for like the newer and younger models, that's something that you kind of have to be careful for. Mm-hmm. And I just think that it's important to address it, because there are things that you should do if you are aspiring to be a new model. Like, don't be afraid to background check. Don't be afraid to ask people, like, go through their profile. If someone reaches out to you and you have a gut feeling, go through their profile, find someone that they've worked with before, message that person and ask them about their experience with them. Ask to bring a friend. Don't even ask, just bring a friend, because if you do ask and they tell you, oh no, you can't bring a friend, then they're not concerned about your well-being anyway. They don't care about how comfortable you are with them. And that should just be enough for you to like listen to your gut and say like, okay, this isn't right. So yeah, I do think it's important that people know these things, because it does happen, and it's traumatic if you're just starting to, want to follow your passion, and then you get into this terrible situation where you're like, it just ruins it for you almost.
Yeah. And I feel like because you're posting your pictures and stuff that you do modeling on the internet, you're being more vulnerable to the outside world too. So have you ever gotten any creepy DMs from people that have looking at your work on the internet? Because I know just as a photographer, people see the pictures that I post of my models and they think that it's me, and then they are like, oh, you want to go on a date and stuff, and it's like, no.
Yeah, my DMs are a pretty scary place sometimes. But no, I mean, kind of going back to what you said, I luckily have, pretty good intuition, I would say, if not very good intuition. And so, yeah, I have had people even reach out to me, and these are people like, recently I had someone that reached out to me from LA, and they had, like 100,000 plus followers. And just because of the way that he had approached me and messaged me, and I get it, because I'm very comfortable posting partially nude or, implied nude to my profile. That's just, I've always been comfortable doing that. But the way that he approached me, it just gave me a terrible gut feeling. And at that point, it's like another thing that, newer models have to be careful about is somebody's follower account does not reflect their character. Someone could have thousands and thousands of followers, and they could even have worked with other well-known models, but how they treat those models professionally might not be how they're going to treat someone who's new to the industry, because they see that as a chance to almost prey on these people and, get content that someone might not be comfortable with.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people nowadays that are aspiring models, not all of them, obviously, but some people are naive to think that everybody on the internet is good, or if they sometimes they reach out to photographers themselves, and those photographers end up being bad,
right?
Too.
Yeah, like, oh, I see you have, hundreds of thousands of followers, Do
you want to collab?
And then the dudes or whoever the shoot person is like untrustworthy or a creep or something like that.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's basically, that's kind of how that one went. But I remember he said something just like, and I don't really care talking about this because I don't associate with this person, and I think that these things should be talked about. But it was like something like about doing this was actually recently, about doing a FaceTime shoot. And we actually had connected previously when I went out to LA, and we were supposed to plan just like a fun collaboration. But yeah, he reached out to me and something about, sorry, my boyfriend's recording me right now. But anyway, he reached out to me about doing a FaceTime shoot. And he was like, yeah, like, I think that I could really, really help you. Something about how he could help me push my boundaries and do a full nude shoot on FaceTime.
Nope.
And I said, you know what? I'm actually okay. I said, thank you.
Yikes.
I said, good luck. Thank you. I'm like, and it was just like, there was obviously more to it, but like, it was just like, come on, I don't need help pushing any boundaries. I've already told you I don't want to do it. So don't tell me. He goes, I think it could be really good for you and I could help you push your boundaries. Basically, you want me to get naked on FaceTime with you. That was how I saw it. So
that's not.
Yeah,
not
that's
okay.
just weird. Like,
yeah.
a FaceTime shoot? How does that work? I don't understand.
Well, a lot of people are doing it now because we're in quarantine, and it's just like a way. And there are photographers, like I think his name is Alessi. He's the one who, like, I guess originated it, kind of.
Yeah. I saw that. That was awesome. But yeah, he basically started it, and now a lot of people are doing it. And I think it's cool. I think it's really cool if you can make art with people in a time like this from all across the world, because I think he was originally in Italy doing it with someone from the US. So it's cool. Like, you're still being able to create with people from literally, you know, almost across the world, which is great.
Yeah, so it's just like the FaceTime, the models on one side, and they're the guy or like the photographer is on the other side, and they take pictures like with their computer, like screenshots, kind of.
Oh,
And
okay.
then-
So I was like picturing like a photographer like holding his camera at a phone.
No, I did see somebody
Like, on
doing that though, and I was
FaceTime.
like, I don't think that's the concept. But
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
yeah,
than-
no, it's just like, it's really cool for those that are doing it for the right purposes. But
right.
yeah,
but-
that would be really creepy
Yeah,
having
that's a
somebody do
horror
that.
story.
Yeah.
So on the flip side, then, is there like any photo shoot that sticks out in your mind that is your favorite, or maybe the most artistic photo shoot you've done?
Yeah, I would say my personal favorite shoot that I've done was from January of 2018, and it was my first photo shoot that I fully designed, creative directed, did my hair, makeup, everything. I basically just, designed the whole shoot, and it was like a pivotal moment for me because I felt like I could turn my passion at that time into something more and, something more serious. And so I decided to, with the photos that I got from the shoot, which I actually also edited the photos myself. And that was my first time really editing photos too.
Right.
And so I decided to send them into Something Different magazine and ended up getting published for the first time. And that was just like even more of a sign like, oh, okay, like you can do this. Like people recognize your effort, your talent. And so that was exciting. But yeah.
What was the concept of the shoot?
So it was really it was more of kind of like, it was more of like a lifestyle because before that I had just been doing like portraits, like, oh, like here's a fun portrait. But it was like my first time like designing something where I was like, okay, like be vulnerable, like show yourself in like a different light. And I just kind of did like pretty much like all natural look. Like I did obviously like a little touch up of like makeup and whatever, but I just like tried to make it as natural and vulnerable as possible. And it was just kind of like me hanging out, going through the motions of my everyday life, like waking up in the morning and like kind of like it was almost like at that time I was like kind of feeling like suffocated with like all the things that I wanted to do in my life. And like I wanted to like portray that kind of like how we can get so suffocated and like lost in all these motions of everyday things that we do. So it's like, hard to break out of. And yeah, it was just fun. It was a really like moody feel. And yeah, it was cool.
That's awesome.
You've gotten to travel quite a bit recently, or not recently, but over the past couple of years to do modeling. Is there like a place that you would move to, or a place that you like to travel to in general that like you would want to go to?
So I told myself I wasn't going to say so, and I've probably said it 20 times, but yeah, I think that there are a couple places I would love to live in, and LA is not really one of them. Although I know that's like where
That's
you
so
should.
funny.
That's reasonable. I understand that.
Yeah, that's where you should want to be if you're aspiring to do something like this. But I'm such a nature person, and I know there's so much nature out there, but there's just so many people also, and it would just be like what I would want to do more than that is probably just like move somewhere close to there where I'm able to like fly in and out frequently. I definitely want to get out of Michigan. So my top choices right now are probably like Colorado. I really, really like Oregon, and I also really like Hawaii. Hawaii would be really cool. That's like more of a dream place to live for the rest of my life. But for work-wise, I would say, yeah, like Colorado, Washington, Oregon.
Yeah, I've never been to Colorado, but I've always wanted to go there. I've always wanted to snowboard, and I've never gotten around to it. I've been saying I'm going to do it for years.
Yeah, I actually tried for my first time. I grew up skiing, and I went out in for New Year's Eve, and I actually learned how to snowboard. It was fun.
And those mountains in Colorado are no joke.
No.
Like, I've been to a couple of the, like, I guess you can quote unquote mountains here in Michigan, like Holly,
Boyne,
Mount Holly or
Shush.
whatever,
Yeah, Mount Holly.
and Mount Brighton, and those are nothing compared to like what they have in Colorado.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I grew up learning how to ski out here, like in kind of like Northwest Michigan, I guess, like Boyne and all those places.
Yeah, Boyne Mountain.
Yeah, and that was my first time even going out there in the winter like that. So it's not even comparable.
So you like cold weather then, because all those places are relatively cold.
I actually don't really care for the cold weather, but and I've been out to Colorado. Like, I go out probably once or twice a month for the past year, and it's different because here it's like in the winters and the colder months, it's gloomy and dark, so it feels so much colder. But in Colorado, it'll like snow, and you'll wake up and it's snowing, and then by 3 p.m. the snow's all gone because the sun's been out all day. It's just the elevation or something makes it so much warmer, or it warms up, it warms it up more than it does here because the sun's always out there.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a kind of like a good location too.
Yeah, I do love it out there.
There's a lot of photographers out in Colorado too.
Yeah, so that was kind of what pushed me to like really want to live too, is because there's a lot more opportunities than I thought there would be in Colorado. Because it seems like it's such, an outdoorsy place where it's just like people who go there like want to be outside and whatever. But there's actually a really, really insane creative scene out there too. So yeah, I think there's an agency that I really wanted to work with also, but that I can't really talk much more about that because I'm trying to manifest. So don't want to jinx anything.
No, you'll definitely get it. You're like too good not to.
Thank you.
So I guess if someone wanted to get into modeling or was aspiring to become a model or a freelance model, do you have any suggestions on where they would start?
Yeah, I think I would say just don't be scared to reach out to people, and don't be scared of rejection either, because I remember when I was starting, it's actually kind of funny. Like when I was starting, I would reach out to people and they'd be like, oh no, like I don't do collaborations, even though I would like see them kind of working with people like, that looks like a collaboration to me.
Yeah,
but I didn't know. And then now these same people are like messaging me to work with me. And at that time it was like something that like, could have kind of like make or break, how somebody keeps on pursuing that. So yeah, right. I got a lot of no's, and I didn't really let that get to me. So I think that's important.
I would also say, like, the place I met you, I think, was the Hub or the H Collective.
Yeah,
But I feel like it's not as active anymore as it used to be.
So that's funny too, because I did register on that, but I did not book one shoot through there ever.
No, because all the people that I've met from the H, I saw their account on the Hub, and then I went to their Instagram and I messaged them through their Instagram, because nobody actually goes on to... Yeah, but I feel like nobody actually goes on to the H anymore, except for they have a job board now. So like photographers and videographers and stuff can go on there and like get jobs.
Oh, cool.
But I feel like as far as like collabing, it's not used for that as much anymore.
Yeah, I think I love the idea of it. I think it was great when it started, and I'm not sure how it is now. I'm assuming that it's still great, but I personally never really got what I wanted out of it, which was just more of like a more genuine interaction with people. I guess that's kind of what I like to have.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree completely. You're like pretty busy too, because you work a regular job, you model, and you're going to school. Like, how do you manage to juggle all of that?
So I actually graduated in May of this past year, 2019, and I got my bachelor's of science in neuroscience. And then after that, I decided to take a year off because that was like the most intense time of my life for 5 years.
Well, neuroscience is like serious stuff.
Yeah, and I didn't know what I wanted to do my first year, so I ended up having to do an extra year, which was like, I could have avoided it, but I was like really trying to do my best. And so I did it in 5 years. And then, but at the same time, I was coming home and I was working 24 hours on the weekends, which is a 2-hour drive home from where I was living. And then when I wasn't working on those weekends, I would book shoots in Detroit or wherever, Ann Arbor, anywhere that was like, you know, where the creative scene was at, or wherever I got booked or booked a shoot with. And so, yeah, that was a very intense time, but it was like, honestly, the best time also. I loved it. I was so busy. I felt like I was getting so much done. And yeah, the year that I took off was great. And now I'm kind of like approaching that 1 year mark, and I'm on track to be enrolled into a Master's of Science program. And I'm super excited about it. But I definitely did need that year off because I was still working, still modeling, still traveling. And if I was also in school for this past year, it probably would have just been chaos. But yeah, it helped me really reconnect with myself over the past year. I even slowed down with shoots for a little bit and was just kind of like traveling for fun and hanging out and, you know, doing whatever because I had time to. And it was great. I felt like I really got back to like knowing myself all over again. And yeah, felt good.
What is the neuroscience? Like what made you pick neuroscience?
So I was actually super interested in psychology like my whole life, and I think it's because I had some mental health issues that I was battling, you know, when I was younger, and I had loved ones who were also battling mental health issues, and I just saw how devastating it was for them, both mentally and physically, and on all levels. It can be so devastating. And so when I got to school, I was like, okay, I want to study psychology. I figured that out after a year and a half, actually. And then I was like, I want to take it up a notch. I want to know everything about it. I want to know how you can treat people on all levels. So I was originally a pre-med student with psychology also. And down the line, I ended up taking a neuroscience class because of the whole pre-med and psychology. And I loved it. I was like, okay, this is literally everything that I want to look at. I want, you know, like, I want to know how, because my main thing I was interested in was psychology. And so the neuroscience just made it like, okay, at pre-med, I'm not in pre-med to be a surgeon or something. I want to really focus on the brain, like the human brain and human behaviors. And so after I took a bunch of neuroscience classes, I was like, all right, dropping pre-med, switching to neuroscience, and that's kind of how I'm here now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, once you find what you really like in college and you like actually somewhat enjoy going to the classes, and it like the time goes by so much faster.
Oh yeah.
And like it's just so much easier once you get like past all your gen eds and all that stuff to like decide what you want to do, and then you're like not as mad about going to school anymore, you know,
Right.
because you're actually interested in what you're learning.
Yeah, I loved my neuroscience classes, were like my favorite. I did a lab for 2 years for I was an undergraduate research assistant in an Alzheimer's lab, and that was super cool. But yeah, I loved it. I cried a lot. I didn't sleep a lot, but it was great.
Everybody does.
You're right.
Yeah, I definitely felt like my first year of college was a waste because I originally went for music therapy because
Oh,
like
that's
you, I
great.
liked psychology and I wanted to like help people and I liked music. So I wanted to combine the two.
Yeah, that's
And then
dope.
once I got into it, I realized like that is not what I want to do at all. And I ended up taking like communications courses and like
Oh.
business communication, and end up realizing I liked that. And I feel like that's just how it happens for most people. Like they finish,
Their first year and then are like, oh,
I need to change
yeah.
this.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
or they change a
if you
couple
guys want to
times.
laugh, I actually originally was registered my freshman year to start in a journalism program.
Oh,
Oh, wow,
like
Which
yeah.
is
completely
the
different.
exact opposite. And I honestly, like, I've always loved writing and everything, but like that is nothing that has ever really interested me. Like journalism, I mean, obviously when everyone's younger, they have like this little dream where they're going to travel the world and write about cultures and nature and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
I think everyone's kind of had that in their life. But yeah, it was never like enough for me to be like, oh my God, I want to go to school for 4 years and study maybe how to write a newspaper or something like
Right.
that. That was
Right.
like
Oh
not
God.
me.
Ugh.
I want to like help people. I want to work with people, and like that was just like not really something that it's like the opposite almost, you know. But yeah.
No, I feel like so many people stress out about what they want to do when they get into college, and then they realize that they don't even want to do what they decided they wanted to do.
Which is fine.
So-
We're always changing, you know. You should
Yeah.
always
Right.
you should always just like act on what's intriguing you the most, and like
Yeah. And I feel like high school kind of does that to you. Like they train you to be like, oh, you need to know exactly what you like want to do for the rest of your life. And
Totally.
but that's not the reality of anything.
I've been telling my little sister, she's a senior, and I feel so bad for her with everything going on. She hasn't had her prom.
Oh,
or
man.
Yeah.
any of that stuff you're excited about when you're a senior, like hanging out with your friends all the time. Like they can't even hang out.
That
No.
sucks.
But yeah, I honestly was telling her, like, if you don't know what you want to do, maybe take a year to figure it out, because your girl's got some loans and it's not fun. Like
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's
it's
not
not
worth it.
fun. I would figure out what, but she's so smart, and she's so far ahead of where I was when I was her age that like I'm not worried about her. She's like gonna be fine no matter what. Oh yeah.
That's how Jenny is too.
That is for sure how Jenny is.
I feel like it's a lot easier now though to be like know kind of what you want to do earlier in your life because of the internet. Like when Anthony was growing up, and like you're around Anthony's age too, I think.
Yeah.
Like you guys had the internet, but you didn't have the access to learning all the type of stuff. Like now they have like Udemy and Skillshare, and there's YouTube where you can find pretty much anything.
Totally. Yeah.
And so like you can become so much more versed in multiple things before you actually go into college.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. There's definitely way, way more access to information that, I mean, and it probably was accessible to us, but just not as in your face as it is now, where it's like
No,
everyone
definitely
knows,
not.
everyone knows that it's there, you know, like at that time it was like you kind of had to dig for it, but
I remember spending hours searching for like video production techniques and stuff in high school, and
Oh,
like
yeah.
I had to teach myself everything. And now I like look for what I wanted to learn back then. It's the first thing you click on when you search it. So I'm
Yep.
like, wow, that's great. Thanks,
yeah, I
guys.
feel that for sure.
All right. So Lindsey, we're coming to the end of our podcast here. So tell us what's next for you.
All right. Well, yeah, I think I kind of already mentioned all that, but basically I'm going to be starting a Master's of Science program. And then I am working on a couple things with modeling and my more creative side, but there are things that I can't really talk about because I'm superstitious.
Oh, okay.
So you guys will definitely be seeing it soon. But yeah, that's probably what I'll have to leave off on that.
We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're looking forward
Me too.
to
I'm
it.
excited. I'm very excited, and it's all happening. So yeah, it's exciting.
We're sending positive energy your way.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, Lindsey, thank you so much for chatting with us today. And to keep up on all things Lindsey, you can find her on Instagram at EarthBabyLindsey. And you can find us there too at Overboard X Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye. Thank you guys.
We'll get to steadier waters eventually.